looking back on the history of this organization makes me think about why we're really here. You know, so much in medicine has changed in these 75 years, but so much has remained the same. And the cry for help of people that are in need that happened in 1937 still happens today. It may happen one patient at a time, but it still happens. And we've got to keep in mind, with all the changes of healthcare reform and all the things before us, the challenges, we've got to keep in mind that's really all about helping people and being there for our communities. And it's really inspiring for us to look back on this historical event and to be inspired by it. My favorite comment is just the comment about the dedication of Mother Francis Hospital. And due to the fact that the hospital opened a day early, the dedication was the next day. And the bishop, when asked should we still have the dedication, said, no, we don't need a ceremony. This hospital has been dedicated by the blood of children. And I think just hearing that comment by the bishop, again, is very poignant and inspiring for us.
I was in school and they let us out early because we were supposed to be, we had a holiday the next day. And so we were all let out early in the elementary school. And I thought my mother might be at the PTA meeting that they were having over there in the building that was just in back of the school. And I went over there and went in there. My mother was not there, but they had some wonderful little entertainments. The Mexican hat dancers especially, I wanted to watch. And once I saw them, I was ready to go home, but I thought I'd go into school and come home with my sister, who was in the school just almost directly in back of the gym. So I walked in there and went into her building with her, and that's the last thing I remember until I woke up in the hospital. But my darling sister, we were in one of the rooms. Unfortunately, the wall fell in on the class on the side of us, and bless their little dear deaths, we were saved because, unfortunately, the wall fell in on them and killed all of them. Then my sister knew where I was, about where I was, and my hands were sticked up out of the debris, and they were trying to take them away. She was really not hurt because the wall fell in on that room next to us. So what she did was not leave. She wouldn't leave because she could see my hands, and so until they started digging me out, she kind of stood back and let them dig me out, and she saw that I was out okay, and apparently my head was pretty well bagged up. But they put me in an ambulance, in a truck, and she got in the truck with me, and she was happy that we were both going to get taken care of. I don't remember anything other than walking over to that school and going into the building. But she remembered it all. And she walked around in Overton until someone finally got around to doing something for her. And she had one of the nurses there. It's in the story, is in his book, that she found a nurse that knew my family because they were putting the children on the floors there just everywhere. They didn't know what to do with them. They were just coming in from everywhere. And so she found me in the hospital. She had a nurse that knew us, put a tag on me so they would not take me away. And she wandered around until my dad, who worked in the oil field, came there too and found my mother. My mother was sitting on the steps crying because she couldn't find us. And so after the doctor came in and looked at me, he said, you'll have to take her to where this brain specialist is coming in. It was here. And he was coming from Dallas. And so they jumped in an ambulance and took me off and left my sister and my mother in Overton. And so then later on they came over here, and that's because they were so crowded at Bryant's, and they took my sister over here, and the dear sisters took care of her. And so after that, and we had our little, she found out I was still alive. Well, we both managed to get well. She ended up having to have several operations on her eyelid because she wasn't hurt until she tried to dig me out. And then she walked around with that cut eye for a long time. But then she went to Dallas and had it fixed, and we just went back to normal living.
So why was it important for you to be here today to not only
Well,
commemorate?
David tells such a good story in his book that I've read a lot of accounts of it, but I read his book, and I'll have to be truthful, I had to put it down a lot, because it hurt. And I cried, just like I am now. And it's a good book. Tells the truth.
Well, I had always been fascinated by, in the news articles that came out at the time, how Mother Francis Hospital was set to open the next day and then opened a day early. That just fascinated me. But in all the stories I read, even anniversary pieces, it said so much, but there wasn't a whole lot there in terms of what was going on in the hospital the day before it happened, and what happened actually at the hospital that night. I mean, we know that patients came, but who were those patients, and how did the sisters handle it, and what were the sisters doing before and after? So I was able to do research through the Sisters of the Holy Family of Nazareth and find some of their archival information about the day before, actually the 18th, when they were getting ready for their grand opening. And also that same archival information gave me facts about how the decision was made and facts about what went on in the hospital that night. A story that I located in the Tyler Papers archives the Sunday before had done a beautiful tabloid, just totally exploring all aspects of the hospital. So I was able to use that to recreate the hospital as it was factually. So I just knew that it would be something that readers would be able to relate to. A disaster book can't be all just disaster and smoke and fire and people hurt. It has to be worthwhile. It has to show some of the redeeming things, and Mother Francis Hospital was certainly a redeeming star in all this.